Look at this. One stone block, 1,000 tons. That's the weight of 200 fully grown African elephants, cut from a mountain over 2,000 years ago. And the biggest cranes we have today still can't lift even half of it. Think about that for a second. We have satellites, we have supercomputers, we build machines the size of buildings, and we still can't move what someone moved with nothing but rope and wood 2,000 years ago. So, how did they actually do it? Let's go to Baalbek, a city in Lebanon. People have lived here for 9,000 years, which already makes it remarkable. But what makes it truly strange are three giant stones sitting in its foundation, known as the trilithon. Each one weighs up to 1,000 tons, and they sit perfectly fitted into the wall of an ancient Roman temple 7 meters off the ground. The quarry these stones came from sites 900 meters away, and we know this because some stones never made the trip. They're still sitting there today, half finished, abandoned. The ones that did make it are still in that wall right now, exactly where someone placed them. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. The Romans built their temple on top of this platform, but they didn't build the platform itself. It was already there long before they arrived, and they left absolutely no record of who built it or how it was done. Someone built this, someone whose name has been completely lost to history. So let's try the obvious answer first. Rollers. Put the stone on logs, roll it forward. Sounds simple enough, except the ground between the quarry and the temple is soft and unstable, the kind that shifts and sinks under pressure. 1,000 tons on wooden logs doesn't roll smoothly. It sinks straight into the earth. Those logs don't become a transport system. They become splinters instantly under that kind of weight. Okay, so what about dragging it with rope and manpower? The Egyptians used exactly this method to build the pyramids, and it worked beautifully. But their blocks averaged around 2.5 tons each. These stones at Baalbek are 400 times heavier. Same basic idea, same simple tools, but a completely different physical problem. Every normal solution we can think of just falls apart once you reach this kind of scale. And yet, somehow, the stone is sitting right there in the wall. So naturally, people start reaching for other explanations. Some say it was ancient sound technology, using sound waves to lift or move heavy objects. This theory exists because acoustic levitation is actually real. Scientists demonstrate it in labs today. But the problem is scale. What works on something tiny in a controlled lab setting would require an amount of energy we genuinely don't have access to even now, let alone 2,000 years ago. Then there's the alien theory. The idea that a civilization from somewhere else entirely came here and either built this themselves or gave humans the technology to do it. And here's the honest problem with that idea. It doesn't actually answer anything. It just shifts the question somewhere else. The aliens would still be facing the exact same laws of physics we are. Heavy things are still heavy regardless of who's moving them. That theory is appealing mainly because it lets you stop asking questions. I don't want to stop asking questions. In 2014, a team of German researchers came to this quarry with modern scanning equipment, and what they found completely changed the conversation. The largest unfinished stone, still lying right there in the quarry, actually weighs 1,650 tons. Not 1,000, but 1,650. The people who built this site were working at an even more extreme scale than anyone had previously realized. But the most important discovery they made was something much simpler. The quarry itself sits at a higher elevation than the temple. That means the stone never needed to travel uphill at all. It only ever needed to go downhill. And that single fact ends up being the key to understanding the entire mystery. The ancient builders weren't fighting against gravity this whole time. They were using it as their primary tool. But first, they had a more basic problem to solve: lifting the stone off the ground in the first place. It was lying completely flat on bedrock, with no space underneath it for anything at all. So they built a clever system using wooden beams, stacking them in layers around the base of the stone. Each new layer lifted the stone just a little bit higher. No machines involved, just timber, careful planning, and a lot of patience. Eventually, there was enough clearance to slide a massive wooden sled underneath the entire block. The stone was lowered onto that sled, and for the first time, it wasn't resting directly on the ground anymore. It was resting on something that could actually move. Next, they engineered the path itself, a carefully graded downhill slope running from the quarry all the way to the temple site. Not a flat road, but a controlled, deliberate descent. With even just a few degrees of downward angle, gravity does almost all the heavy lifting on its own. The stone naturally wants to move forward. The workers weren't generating force to push it. Their entire job was managing and controlling that force as it happened. Ropes positioned along the sides, teams stationed at the back specifically to slow it down when needed. This wasn't about raw strength at all. It was about precision and coordinated skill. And at the very bottom of that slope sat the temple platform, already fully prepared and waiting. The stone was guided slowly and carefully into its exact final position, fitted with such precision that it hasn't shifted even slightly in 2,000 years. So here's what we're actually looking at. The Roman temple sitting on top was built by one civilization, but the massive platform underneath it was built by an entirely different group of people. A group with no recorded name, no surviving written history, no documentation of any kind. All that's left behind is the work itself. We tend to call Baalbek a mystery because we operate under this hidden assumption that people today are automatically smarter and more capable than people from the past. So, whenever ancient people accomplish something we genuinely can't explain, our instinct is to call it impossible, or magical, or even extraterrestrial. But the truth is, these people understood something so deeply and worked at such a massive scale that 2,000 years later, we're still standing here trying to figure out exactly how they pulled it off. Not because they were somehow superhuman, but because that specific knowledge simply died with them. Nobody ever wrote down the manual. And when knowledge like that doesn't get passed down to the next generation, it eventually just disappears completely, leaving behind only the physical evidence of what it once made possible. And so we end up calling it impossible. The stones, meanwhile, are still standing exactly where they were placed. 2,000 years of wars, earthquakes, and entire empires rising and collapsing around them, and these stones still haven't moved an inch. Whatever those builders knew, it clearly worked.